Welcome to episode 2 of Year of the Full Moon, and today we're going to review the very first one, Puppet Master. So, Shane, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's a good movie. It was definitely, and I'm trying to look at this anew, but from what I remember, the few I've seen, it was the better of them. But I liked it. I mean, it definitely isn't a, like,
Great classic
Peter
movie.
Jackson's King Kong. Or like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I thought it was I mean, some of the characters were definitely over the top, and I'm not talking about the dolls. I'm talking about the actual.
Yeah, we'll get to the acting in a bit.
But I mean, the acting wasn't bad, but it was just.
I would say it's like a B-level horror classic.
Yeah,
it's like if you're a horror fan, it's essential viewing, especially just because it's such a big franchise. Seeing the first one, but if you just like good movies, and you just like you see Exorcist and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, you probably wouldn't see Puppet Master.
Yeah, I mean,
not like
if you're seeing like
caliber film.
All the other Friday the 13th or Nightmares on Elm Streets and stuff, it might be up your alley.
So if you enjoy just the classics, maybe not this one, but if you enjoy all the Friday the 13th and all the Nightmares on Elm Streets, you'll enjoy this.
I would say this is a movie that if you're into horror movies, watch.
Because like the puppet gore and action is actually pretty
the gore is pretty good.
It was a combination of stop motion and
they did a lot of shots.
work.
Yeah, a lot of the shots too would be like part, so they could be like holding the doll like this, but you only saw part. I noticed they did a lot of stop motion.
There's
cool.
One of them. Well, we'll get into the puppets in a moment, but one of the puppets has like human arms. So they had someone who's a midget work the puppet and then use their arms to move it around.
It was we saw something where it was like talking about like she had to be like this when she's like doing it, and it was kind of hard to like get everything from that angle to go.
Yeah, because you're trying to like move the puppet here while looking down here.
Not being the shot.
So movie-wise, before we get into the puppets, it begins with this awesome scene back in 1939 of Toulon, who is like the original puppet master, the main guy. And he is hauled up into Bodega Bayan, and Nazis are coming to kill him, like they do.
Yeah, and they're like they're like straight out of Indiana Jones, like Nazis, black trench coat, black hat,
walking in unison.
Both their legs are all moving at the same time, like they're goose stepping. It's kind of hilarious. They're not actually goose stepping, but
which would have been funnier.
But I'm like. They literally watched Indiana Jones, and like that's how a Nazi needs to look when they're gonna kill somebody. So.
And from there, like he hides away his puppets and he kills himself. So
it was hilarious because I mean, like the Nazis are like, "Oh, Toulon." They're getting ready to come in. And he's just sitting there. He just goes like this and shoots himself.
Casually.
Blood shoots out the back.
You see it happen too. Like you see the bullet in his mouth, and they had the blood squib just shoot, and it just sprays the back poster, and you like see it doesn't cut away. That's awesome. So that to me.
I mean, I really
scenes.
wish right when the door opened he would have shot himself, because I wouldn't like
wink at him for a bit.
And like the Germans are just standing there looking at him, and it's like, yeah, which one of you guys are going to be the one that tells Hitler that I screwed this up?
So from there, fast forward to pretty much the plot is a bunch of psychics go back to this inn that's now closed down because their friend recently died who was also a psychic. And honestly, a bunch of stuff happens to the psychics trying to figure out what happened. And personally, I found a lot of that boring. Like, I do like the psychic angle because I know they don't really go back to it ever. And it's a different thing.
But they could have cut some of that out, I think. A lot of it did feel kind of repetitive at times. Yeah, and there's some weird, like, this one guy sees, like, visions of things that happen. There's, like, weird things that it doesn't really make sense. Like, even watching the movie, like, this is the second time viewing it, it still doesn't make sense. And it takes a while for the puppet action to kick back up after the intro.
which is disappointing.
It's a lot of like first person shots of a camera of like Blade just like running across the rooms a lot.
So that's pretty cool because they're also like the shadows of the puppets are done pretty well. And then, because like you might see in the background a shadow one by.
And I was actually thinking when we were watching, I wonder how they did that.
Like also like what Shane said was point of view. Like there's times when you're at the puppet point of view, then all of a sudden you see like the arms of a puppet reach out and manipulates things, and I think that's really cool. And then besides there was honestly it's just a bunch of psychics trying to figure it out. Then then they began dying, and I think one thing they needed more characters. I think because there wasn't enough people to die.
Yeah.
So there weren't many kills.
Because this movie, I know in the few of the others, there's a higher body count, which is, I think
kind of what happens in horror movies. I know we knock up the body count.
They're like, sequels. We ran out of ideas. Let's just kill more people. I mean, we've done it in other movies. I like that stuff, but so it is interesting. Yeah, the dolls shine in their kills. I mean, they also shine in the how they move and stuff, because I mean
they're all unique, and they all do kind of like get their own moment of
like,
shine in the kills.
I mean, especially stop motions in art. We've tried it before, and it looks
The Day After Tomorrow with animation,
and it looks hilarious.
Now, so they put much more effort into it.
Oh yeah, we were just kind of like, oh, we got it,
but
whatever. But definitely the dolls are the shining part, and you see them less in this movie. I know down the, I think probably starting with the next one, you see them like a lot. They almost become the main characters at some. I
think they kind of pretty much do.
Yeah, in some of them they become the main characters.
And one thing is, I think they might use stop motion less in the sequels because we watched one of the mini documentaries talking about how a 13-second shot of stop motion took them 2 days to make, which for a low budget studio direct to video release, it's they don't have time for that. No. But what they did have time to, it looks really good. The puppets are top notch.
The puppets are definitely where they sunk their money, like the big money probably into, because they look amazing.
So puppet wise, there is obviously Blade, who has a hook for a hand and a knife for the other.
He is the flagship person for this series.
He is the main puppet.
There are a few that are like the main puppets, but he's the main of the main puppets.
And this whole movie kind of has like main puppets that continue on, and then there's the second one introduces another main one, and the third one does, but mainly these are the main puppets because there's Blade. Pinhead, who we talked about, was a human hand. Small head, big body, his hands, he's pretty much as strong as a human. I think maybe stronger, I don't know.
Yeah.
Tunneler, who just has a drill in his head, and he just runs at people with his head down and just drills, normally into their ankles.
Pinhead's hilarious, though, because he just gets thrown like crazy. And then
it's thrown down the stairs, and you just see a long drop.
It's a doll, so it's literally them throwing the doll across the room, and it looks funny.
There's times he's just beating on people, and it looks so cool.
Yeah, just this little doll, you just see a fist that's this big, like boom, boom.
And I said Tunneler, Leech Woman, who leeches come out of her mouth and just stick to people.
It's unappetizing.
Just like there was like a weird like sexual one too, where a guy thinks it's a girl and he has a blindfold on, but really there's a puppet licking him.
And then there's a good like 30 seconds of her like coughing up a leech.
Yeah,
and it's like, just like
gratuitous.
I definitely could have took a lot less of that, and that would have been fun.
But it's disgusting, and I enjoy it just because it's disgusting. Like, ew. If a horror movie makes you cringe, it's normally a good thing. Sometimes it's not. Puppet named Jester, who doesn't really do much. His head just like changes from a happy face to a sad face, and I don't know. It sometimes feels like a ringleader that doesn't do anything and sits back and watches, but Jester doesn't kill people. So yeah, Blade, Jester, Tunneler, Pinhead, Leech Woman. Those are the main 5.
Yeah.
There was another puppet in the beginning called Shredder Khan, who's like an Asian stereotype. You just see him in the intro, and you never see him again. I think he comes back later on, but just looking at this movie,
from a trailer we watched, I'm pretty sure he does come back.
So those are the puppets. That's the plot of the movie. My favorite scene in the movie would probably be the ending where all the puppets kind of team up in an Avengers Assemble thing where they all team up to do different things to kill the main villain. And just like a drill and a net.
The main villain, I don't know why, but I keep getting a Hellraiser vibe to Uncle... what's the guy's name?
Oh, I forget, but it's like it's when to me it's when he becomes the dad.
Yeah, when it becomes the dad, it's just
played by Andrew Robinson,
which is a little uncomfortable in that movie too, but it's uncomfortable in this movie.
So before we talk about the characters, what was your favorite part of the movie?
Probably the beginning where Toulon just shoots himself.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Because it was done good, and it's just like he just like sits down, has a gun. Then he's like the door's over there, and he's like, then he just like.
He's an old man, so he's like very frail about it.
And he just puts it in his mouth. Boom.
It was played by Andre Toulon was played by William Hickey in this one, who's an acclaimed actor, been in many films. But Toulon's played by many different people throughout the course of the series.
Yeah,
but for this movie,
he's probably
not
in
a main character.
This movie about like.
It was one day of filming for him.
Probably about 3 minutes. Probably about 2 minutes of actual screen time.
Yeah.
Maybe 1.
So what? Let's see. Talk about the characters. Puppets we talked about. Cool. The main villain, Neil Gallagher or something, I think's his name.
Yeah.
He is just such bad overacting. Oh, like sometimes
too much overacting.
Sometimes it's good, but like even his facial expressions just seem too much.
Oh, his facial expressions were my biggest. Just like he would make one and be like, "Okay, dude, you don't need to do that. Calm."
It's just like over intensity in the eyes, and like this one time he's going. Ah.
Yeah, I think honestly, like there was like. Where the one girl's like sensing that dude like raped somebody.
Yeah, that was the face he was making during that.
Who was the person?
Oh, they don't talk about that at all.
Okay, I was confused.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh wait, am I playing later?
Nope, nope. Those are credits.
Just random scene in which a girl's boob flops out. Oh, okay.
Now you know why the scene was in there.
Yeah, I mean,
there's the. It
was unnecessary.
The psychics can like sense things that are happening. Like that happened in the past, one of them, and if they're in a place where something happened, they experienced it, and she experienced like the main character like raping a girl, maybe, I don't know.
No mention to that girl or
no
what.
Idea
it was just like, so does he bring women here to rape them? Did he murder them?
I guess so.
Did he not murder her? Did she just get raped and leave perfectly knowing? I don't know. It bothered me because it wasn't elaborated on. So it was unneeded.
Also, like some of the psychics are just not likable people.
No.
There's one guy who is likable, the main guy, but he just seems like the opposite spectrum of overacting. He just like kind of emotionless.
He almost underacted.
But he also always looks scared every time.
Yeah.
Like he's just in his face.
He was likable, but he wasn't like really likable. He was an okay character. There was one guy that had like long hair, but he greased it back into a ponytail. But he's also kind of balding. Yeah, it was like balding right here, long hair greased back into a ponytail, and it just looked
uncomfortable. And he's the one who had like the leech woman licking him up, and he was enjoying it. Yeah, and there's one girl who's just pretty much there to be nude, and there's another like the one who like kind of makes money by being a fortune teller, but not real.
Not good. Yeah.
But she, I like that character, but. Obviously, they just show up just to die, and
yeah, there was not much character development, and the ones that had slight character development only had it because they were not killed first.
Mm. So, Puppet Master, I would definitely give 2 thumbs up. It is a B-level horror classic.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at like the A-level, like the first Hellraiser, first Friday the 13th, first Nightmare on Elm Street, first Halloween, I would say like those are up there. But if you like. The next notch down would definitely be that, which is, I think, good because take into effect that this was a low-budget movie.
I would say for direct-to-video horror movies, this one might be one of the best.
Oh, I think this is one of the best.
So that's one thing to keep in mind.
Because I've seen a lot of direct-to-video, and there's some that are good, but they're usually... It's usually a sign that if it goes direct-to-video, that it's like, oh, it wasn't worth the effort of putting it into theaters because it's not good. This one
was pretty good.
I feel like it could have definitely, especially at the time it was made.
I think it could have done well.
Yeah, and the time it was made, I think it could have went in the theaters. But their reasoning,
how the franchise would go different.
Yeah, their reasoning was more like, hey, we just wanted to get it out there and they would make
more money this way, is what Charles Band thought. And maybe he did. Maybe the franchise would be much different if it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It's a great franchise starter. You can see the potential for it.
I mean, and going to
more puppets.
Going to theaters doesn't always mean like, hey, 2 movies down the road is still going to be good. Yeah. Because I've seen direct to theater movies down the line get awful, and then they get direct to video. So
I think they made a good move there. It's an interesting franchise. Obviously, it's a very strong franchise. We'll get to other episodes later on, and Yeah, tune in 2 weeks from now. We will review Puppet Master 2, His Unholy Creation.